Let me lead upgrading. Upgrade my video reviews. Understand and enjoy the show.
Hey there once again, welcome to another Lemon Amiga game guide and review. This time we'll be taking a look at Dragon's Lair, developed by Visionary Design and published by Redisoft in 1989. As the game loads, we will be given a very basic introduction, no animated storyline in this one, and on the main title screen we can select our number of lives and our skill level. Let's just select the easy mode, and we can also change our config on the WHD load version, which I'm loading at the moment. This is supposed to be a combined version of Escape from Singe's Castle plus the original Dragon's Lair, and you can see I'm supposed to have linked those two together to combine both games. But I don't think that actually worked because there are only 10 levels in this game. But let's try to move through those 10 levels anyway, even though this isn't the original Dragon's Lair. This is more like a combination of the follow-up, Escape from Singe's Castle. By clicking on the play button, that will take us straight to scene 1, where we can use our joystick to try to avoid the enemies. This version I downloaded from whdownloads.com is actually supposed to be the slow version of the combined effort, and in the slow version it is supposed to give you a box at the bottom of the screen which gives you the direction or the fire option that you're supposed to accomplish to get through to the next scene. Otherwise the game does not originally give us that option, and so we are completely blind walking into these scenes with no idea which button we are meant to press. This version of the game will also pause and give us a virtual pause on that screen while it loads the next section, and that's another break in the action, and it means that this game does not flow straight through like a cartoon. It keeps breaking off the action to allow the player to see what's going on. And ordinarily the fast version, as I say, does not allow the player to do that, and it does not show the controls either, and whenever I press the fire button or move the joystick in the desired direction, you will hear a click on the screen as I try to do that, and sometimes you may hear various clicks beeping loudly as I try to get through these scenarios. That's the first scenario completed, that's the drawbridge, and now we're into Singe's Castle. I'm not sure whether the Drink Me potion is possible to take and consume, and that gives us a branching storyline. I'm not quite sure in this combined version, which I'm playing at the moment. All I know is I'm exiting to the right, and that gives us a stairwell that we need to descend and avoid lots of killer bats. Dragon's Lair was originally developed as a Laserdisc game which appeared in the arcades in 1983 and developed by Cinematronics. It was headed up by ex-Disney animator Don Bluth, and you can see copies of Don Bluth's artwork in this game, and he designed this game along with Rick Dyer. Don Bluth started out at Disney working on productions such as Robin Hood and went on to The Rescuers before teaming up with Steven Spielberg to create The Land Before Time and animated sagas like that. And very recently, in 2015, he tried to launch a Kickstarter campaign to release Dragon's Lair as an actual movie, and unfortunately he did not succeed with the Kickstarter, but the following Indiegogo campaign was successful, and so you can look forward to Dragon's Lair the movie at some point in the future. In this game, the object is to recapture Princess Daphne, who's been held inside a crystal ball, and in the original Dragon's Lair, through this door we should be able to reach Daphne with a huge pile of money, and we should be able to see her inside that crystal ball. But again, I'm not playing the original Dragon's Lair, I'm playing an amalgamation of the two games, and for some strange reason getting through that door it takes us to somewhere else. And that somewhere else reminds us of the Commodore 64 version, where we fall into a pit, and I actually think that I've loaded the wrong version to try to play a test and to try to preview, to try to demonstrate Dragon's Lair. Certainly looking at the Lemon Amiga screenshots, there are more reminiscent screenshots on the original Dragon's Lair to that laserdisc than what we find in this sequel, Escape from Singe's Castle. But we'll try to persevere anyway, and we'll try yet again to start this game right from the beginning, and let's see if we can get through all those 10 scenarios. After the original arcade version, Dragon's Lair was ported to virtually every computer known to mankind, including first of all the Coleco Adam on cartridge and floppy disk in 1984, and then the 8-bits got their day in 1986 with the C64, the CPC and the ZX Spectrum. Some of the only used levels in the 8-bit versions then span off into Escape from Singe's Castle, which was released on the 8-bits in 1987, and then in 1989 the 16-bits came along with the DOS, the Atari ST and the Amiga. It was then ported to the NES, the Game Boy and the Apple Mac in 1990. The SNES got its own version in 92, and various ports including the CDI in 1994, and a port for Windows XP appeared in 2001. You can see the animation used is Don Bluth animation, there is no getting around that, and the rest of the code was created by Randy Linden with extra help by David Foster, Andy Thoot and Mark Vanch. See, with the Amiga version we have to replay the same scene a number of times, and in the arcade we had to get our actions absolutely spot on to the time limit, otherwise we'd lose a life. But thanks to this heads up version where we actually get to see the action that we're supposed to perform and perform that on time, that means we can get through most of these scenarios no problem. Unfortunately, to add to that breaking up of the action, we also have a copy protection method which appears halfway through this game, where you have to identify a shield which appears in the manual. No idea what that is, so let's just use the benefit of this crack to get through that and to progress onto that next scene. great graphics were also converted to the Amiga by David Brimblecombe with the help of Victor Sue and Pat Kushko. Lastly, the music jingles are also credited to Randy Linden, who helped go on to produce this game, Escape from Singe's Castle, and that was his last credit on the Amiga. On the Amiga, we've reached C9, so there's only this and another level to go before we complete this particular game, and after this we'll find the Mud Monsters being the final level of this entire collection. I think the graphics on offer are superb, but in this slow version it is sometimes annoying to have to break off every few seconds to load in that next scene, and even though these graphics are certainly hand-drawn and absolutely one of the best graphical scenes you'll ever see on the Amiga, certainly better than games like Secrets of Monkey Island 2 and even Beneath the Steel Sky, which use hand-drawn graphics. But you can see, just like the original version, this is very close to the original Laserdisc, and as I say, if you do play the original Dragon's Lair, you'll find more of the original scenes, and in this Escape from Singe's Castle, which is more of a sequel, you'll find alternative scenes, which you can see I'm getting through at the moment, and that provides rather an anticlimax to this game. The original scores for this game, Ace gave this 47%, CU only gave it 32%, the One gave it 60%, your Amiga gave it 66%, Amiga Computing gave this game 70%, and the current Lemon Amiga score for Dragon's Lair is 51%. So that gave this 5.5 out of 10. Later on, we also produced a number of other sequels. Dragon's Lair 2 appeared for the Amiga.
Dragon's Lair, Time Warp.
Released in 1990, and again Don Bluth heading up the list of producers along with many other artists, and just like the previous version, you will have to negotiate your way around a number of scenarios, but unfortunately it doesn't give us any clue which direction we're supposed to be using that joystick with, or even if we're supposed to be pressing that fire button, and so this is basically as far as I've ever got with it.
Kidnapped? My Daphne kidnapped again?
Dragon's Lair 2 was then followed up by the amazingly creative Dragon's Lair 3, which used even greater graphics. That appeared in 1992, headed up by different guys this time, but again David Foster there with the programming, and this time it is more like a cartoon, and this game really did take the genre as far as it's probably likely to go. Unfortunately, that's probably as far as I'm going to get with it. Having tried to control this game, I'm actually not getting anywhere with it. So all I can do is say thank you for watching another Lemon Amiga semi-play guide and review to another Amiga classic. Hope to see you again in the next one.